In Delhi's Malviya Nagar, a massive hotel fire recently tore through a commercial building, so quickly that an entire family of 8 was killed in a matter of minutes. The heat inside was so extreme, it left behind a forensic nightmare. Some of the 21 victims were impossible to recognize by sight. One woman, Tarjani, could only be identified by the bangles found on her arm. When we check into a hotel, there is a baseline expectation that the structure has been built and inspected to ensure we can survive a worst-case scenario. Yet the speed of this fire suggests those survival mechanisms were absent. In any modern building, fire and smoke are supposed to be fully contained long enough for an orderly, safe evacuation. Why that containment failed in Malviya Nagar is a question that leads directly to the institutional systems designed to protect human life. To understand how the flames spread so quickly, look at the layout. Fire-treated unsealed ventilation shafts and stairwells like chimneys, drawing smoke and heat directly into hallways, blocking escape routes. Where active sprinklers, alarms, and fire barriers should have been, there was nothing. Smoke filled the corridors completely unchecked. And getting help to the building was a logistical nightmare. The tightly packed streets and thick canopy of tangled overhead wires created a severe bottleneck, making it nearly impossible for heavy fire engines to deploy quickly. With the building's infrastructure failing and emergency services delayed, the immediate rescue effort fell entirely on the people living nearby. Local shopkeepers and neighbors rushed in. They dragged out hundreds of thousands of rupees worth of brand new mattresses from nearby stores, piling them up on the street to create makeshift landing pads to catch the guests jumping from the windows. When building owners ignore safety codes, they shift the physical danger onto their guests and the burden of rescue onto unprepared neighbors. The police barricaded the blackened remains of the hotel and arrested the owner, giving investigators a direct target for the negligence. But to see how a building this dangerous was allowed to open its doors to the public in the first place, we have to look at the paperwork. Specifically, the Fire Safety No Objection Certificate, or NOC. This is the mandatory government document proving a structure has passed rigorous inspections and is legally cleared for human habitation. In practice, owners often use bribes to skip the actual inspection. Money changes hands, and the municipality stamps the NOC for a building that is objectively unsafe. Proper fire safety infrastructure, like commercial sprinkler systems and fire-rated doors, is extremely expensive. Bypassing those requirements through a bribe drastically inflates the owner's profit margins. The integrity of the regulatory system burns away long before a physical spark ever catches, making the authorities who rubber-stamp these documents complicit in the resulting death toll. Putting one hotel owner in jail addresses the immediate crime, but it leaves the mechanism that allowed the crime entirely intact. The fire in Malviya Nagar is a symptom of a much larger, nationwide failure in how urban infrastructure and hospitality businesses are monitored. City planning boards and municipal governments are heavily incentivized to encourage rapid, profitable commercial development, often turning a blind eye to whether those new buildings are actually safe to occupy. Fixing this requires removing the financial conflict of interest. Safety certifications need to be stripped from local politicians and handed over to independent third-party auditing firms with strict liability for the buildings they pass. Without a total overhaul of the oversight process, the corruption will continue, and the buildings we rely on for shelter will remain active threats to the people inside them.